Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with the halfway through the year update of my Panda face palette. Today I'm going to update my Hourglass Ambient Edit Ghost Edit palette. I never know exactly how to say it. Ambient Lighting Edit Ghost palette. So this is my Panda palette for the year. This is actually my first ever Panda palette. I've never done a Panda palette before, but I've been really enjoying it. It's been fun to use a palette and have a palette to reach for face products. Yeah, I don't mind reaching for like the same face products most days, so it's been quite convenient having this palette around and getting some good use out of it. So like I said, today we are at the halfway point of the year, which also means that I am going to talk you through the Q2 stats, as well as how I'm doing for halfway through the year. Am I halfway through finishing this palette or not? And all that kind of good stuff. But before I jump into the palette, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So I'm going to start by inserting here what the palette has been looking like. So this is what it looked like when I first introduced it. The palette was mostly brand new at the start of the year. I did actually buy this palette second hand, but it had very, very minimal use on it before. And I used a couple of the shades prior to introducing it, but not too much. And you can also see how it's been moving throughout the months. This product has two face products, a highlighter, a bronzer, and then two blushes. And I've been kind of switching my focus around throughout the months. The first pan that I actually hit pan on was the second shade in the palette, which is one of the finishing powders. You can see that here, and also how it's expanding. I think hopefully at this point we should be at where I was last month. And I have worked on this one quite hard in the past month, and this is where I am with it today. So yeah, this is what the palette looks like. I'm not sure if you can see much difference. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you look at the palette for a little bit before I jump into the numbers. So yes, that is the palette. I'm gonna again have the pictures up here, what the palette looks like, so you can see. But again, this is the overview of the palette. So I'm going to talk you through each shade in order. We're going to start with the first shade in the palette, which is Dim Light, which is one of the finishing powders. So this is a shade that I've started using more in the past month as well. I used this one a lot in the beginning of the year before I realized it's a little bit too deep for me. So I've kind of waited with this one until summer, but I have started using it more now. So in the past month, I reached for this shade 14 times, and it's definitely getting flatter. But hopefully you can see in this pan right there that it is getting flatter. So yeah, I'm happy with that progress. Next to that, we have the second finishing powder, which I actually haven't touched at all in the past month. This is my most used shade, especially with progress. It has a lot of progress on it, but I haven't used it in the past month because I'm waiting with this one until we get into the colder months again, and I don't have much of a tan. So I kind of switched my usage from this one to Dim Light, and I don't know if I said already, but this is the shade Diffused Light. Next to that, we have probably the least used shade in the palette, which is the highlighter. This is the shade Iridescent Strobe Light, which is one that I definitely need to step up my usage game with. My goal for the past month was to reach for this one 10 times, and unfortunately I didn't do that. I used to have been using so many different highlighters. Yeah, I have two highlighters I think in my Yellow Project pan, and then a couple other things that I'm trying to finish up. So it's really hard with highlighters. I have some really lofty goals when it comes to finishing up highlighters, so I'm a little bit worried about the shade, but hopefully I can still get through it. So this one I have reached for 5 times in the past month, so I do get used to it a little bit, but not too much. And yeah, I don't know if you can see any of the movement, but this was definitely the tallest kind of product. Yeah, there's definitely still a lot of product in here, but it's a nice highlighter. It's quite light, so it doesn't really suit me the best now in summer again, because it's a little bit pale today. I'm wearing it, but I'm wearing it mixed with some other things just to deepening it up a little bit. And I think maybe that's what I'm going to continue doing for now, because I do need to start using it, but it's not my favorite product for the season. So that is the top row. Let's move on to the second row. And first up on the second row, we have the bronzer, which is Eternal Bronze Light. And this is one that I have used a little bit in the past month, not too much. I've been splitting my attention between this one and a different bronzer in my deco panning. But I have reached for this one 7 times, so an okay amount. I'm happy with that. And this one is also getting quite flat now. Hopefully you can see that there in the pan. But yeah, it's definitely getting used, and I'm not too worried about finishing this one either. I think it's definitely going to be easy. And every time you use face products, you use more bronzer than highlighter, at least I do. So I think this one is going to go faster. And even though I'm not exactly sure when this is going to be done, it's definitely going to be done this year. Then lastly in the palette, we have the two blushes. And first out of the two blushes is the shade Iridescent Rose, which is my most used blush. This is the blush that I used almost exclusively in the first half of the year, leading up to this past month, where I switched my attention to the next shade, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And that also means that I kind of neglected this shade a little bit, which is fine because again I have a lot of use on it anyway, and I think this blush is going to be really, really nice for autumn anyway. So yeah, I think that's still fine. And in the past month I reached for this one 2 times, so again a little bit of use but not too much. However, the last shade in the palette is the last blush and obviously also the last shade, and that is the shade Sublime Flush. So this is another one of my focuses for the past month. I switched my attention to this one, like I said, and I have done really good with this blush. In the past month, I reached for this one 22 times, which is amazing. I'm so happy, and I can definitely tell a difference in this pan. It was very tall. It was similar to like the highlighter before, but it has definitely lowered down a bit, and I can see a lot of progress on it, at least like on the height of the pan. Not sure so much about the like pictures and stuff. You will see that better because I haven't taken the pictures yet. But hopefully you can see a bit of progress there as well, because with these, since they are like baked and quite domed out, you don't really get dips or anything in them. You kind of just lower them down until eventually you hit pan. So not sure how much difference you can see, but I'm really proud of how much I used this blush in the past month. So there you have it. That is what my palette is looking like at the moment. I'm really happy. Of course, we are halfway through the year, so I would have ideally maybe wanted to have a little bit more progress, but a lot of these shades are quite low now. Both the bronzer and the first blush are very low, and I think I'm close to pan on both of them. Maybe the bronzer needs 2 more months, and the blush maybe 1 more month of dedicated focus, which probably won't come for a little bit, but I think I'm quite close with pan on both of these. I'm also really happy with how much this blush has moved just with 1 month of focused use. I'm going to keep using this one for the summer months and hopefully get some really good use on it. I think, yeah, if I use this for like 2 more dedicated months, maybe again I will be close to pan, and maybe if I use it for 3 more months, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this is looking. Before talking through my goals for next month, I'm going to talk you through the weights quickly, so you can see how I've done with that. Because again, since this is not the most kind of easy palette to track with movement, like yeah, you can't really see the dips, like I said. It's quite interesting looking at the weights because you can easily then track how much I've used, and if I'm on track to finish it or not. So let me talk you through the weights. Quickly to summarize, at the beginning of the year, this weighed 138.32 grams, and the palette itself has 8.4 grams of advertised weight. And with that, it means that I have to reach for 0.70 grams on average per month to be on track. In the first quarter, let's just summarize the quarter. In quarter 1, I used 2.33 grams of product, which was good because the goal for that quarter was 2.1 to be on track if I used that 0.7 grams every single month. So I was already ahead of schedule a little bit, which I was really proud of. Then in the second quarter of the year, let's just summarize. In April, I used up 0.51 grams, so slightly less than I needed to, but that's fine because again, I was already ahead of schedule. And I did pretty well in the upcoming months after that. In May, which was the last update, I had used up 0.79 grams. So at that point, I was 0.09 grams ahead of what I needed to be for the month, which was really good. And at that point, again, which was last update, the palette weighed 134.69 grams. So that was my weight point at the last update. Today, the palette weighs 133.85 grams, which means that I have used up 0.84 grams for the month of June, which is really good. That is 0.14 grams over what I need to do per month to be on track. So again, I am ahead of schedule, which I'm so pleased with. It means that if I just show love to the whole palette and use a lot of the shades kind of split, I do get a lot of weight used up. So that is where I am with the weight today, and that means that I have used up in total for this palette 4.47 grams at the halfway point of the year, which again, I'm really pleased with. Let's start looking at the quarter 2 usage first. And in quarter 2, I used up 2.14 grams, which is really good. And again, if you remember from quarter 1, the average usage I need to do per quarter is 2.1 grams, which means that I am slightly ahead of schedule for the quarter as well with 0.04 grams. So mostly on track, but again, I'm really happy because last quarter I was already a little bit ahead of schedule, and I'm continuing that trend for quarter 2. Looking at my total weight for the first half of the year, like I said, I had used up 4.47 grams, and at this point, the average weight that I would have had to use up to be on track would have been 4.2 grams, which means that I am 0.27 grams ahead of schedule, which means that I'm about 40% of a month ahead of schedule. So almost, not quite, I'm half a month ahead of schedule. Like I said, 40% of a month ahead of schedule, which again, I'm really, really happy with. When it comes to palettes like this, or any product, makeup product, sometimes there is more advertised weight than it says. So I'm happy that I'm ahead of schedule because I don't actually know how much product is in here. And also when I start using shades up, which I hopefully will do at some point, it might slow down with the weight because I won't have as many things to work on each month, so I can't like spread my love equally between all of the pans, if that makes sense. But looking at the halfway point of the year, I'm really, really pleased with both the weight and what the palette looks like. Yeah, I don't know how much damage I can do in the next month because, like I said, I think this palette needs a couple more months of dedicated use before I start hitting more pans. But I'm excited to continue working on it. Again, it's been a really, really easy palette to reach for, and I'm really happy that I introduced this one as my Panda Face palette. Before I wrap up the video today, though, I want to just talk through my focus shades and my goals for next month. I think for next month, I want to keep using the palette and try to get use out of it as a whole and not just narrowing down on the same shades. I do think I still want to use this highlighter 10 times. I think that's going to be a good goal moving forward. Hopefully I can get 10 uses done. Actually, I was thinking maybe I should like add on the remaining from this month too. So every time I don't hit my goal, they get stacked on top of those 10 uses. That means I would have to use it 15 times. Yeah, I'm going to do that as a goal because I do really want to start working on that highlighter. It is my least used shade and it's also the one I'm most worried about. So I'm going to do 10 uses on average for the highlighter, and every time I don't hit my goal, those remaining uses roll over. So 15 uses for that one for this month, which we'll see how it goes with that. Then other than that, I'm going to keep using this blush right here. I'm not going to set like a specific usage goal on it, but I'm hoping to reach for it maybe like 20 times. This month I did 22, and if I can keep around that number again, I'm going to be really, really pleased. So that is going to be the next focus. Same with the bronzer. I'm going to use it on a little bit here and there. Again, I'm splitting my attention between this one and a different one. So I can't use it every single day, but maybe again around 10 uses. I'm not going to set a specific usage goal. I think this pan here is the only one I'm going to have a specific usage goal on, but maybe aim for around 10 uses on the bronzer. Then the last shade I'm going to focus on is this one right here, which is Dim Light. And that one, again, I'm going to try to use maybe around 10 times just to get some good use on it, especially now before we move into the colder months again, when I'm going to move on to diffuse light. So that is the palette, and that means that I'm kind of focusing on the outer 4 shades for the next month. These 2 shades in the middle I'm kind of waiting with. I'm going to pick those up again in autumn. If I use them here and there, that's fine, but I'm going to focus, like I said, on the outer 4 shades. So that is going to be it for my update today. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you are doing Panda Face Palette yourself, how are you getting along? I love reading your updates in my comment sections every single month on my different projects because it's kind of fun and it feels like I'm watching even more like probably pan updates because like I hear an update every single month for you guys. So please let me know how you're doing. And I hope you guys are having a lovely day wherever you are, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye guys!